Hello and welcome to another video. Um, Alex is actually not here right now because he is too angry over the fret slots and the cutting.
I'm not angry!
Oh,
Tell him something else, I don't know.
oh yeah, sorry.
Just get the video done, okay?
He's not angry, and he's not here. Anyway, he's asked me to take over because he's anyway. In this video, we are gonna put the binding around the neck, and yes, I don't know. Let's begin to put the binding on. It's fairly easy, so even I, who is actually a male and who's not really into this, will know how to do it. So the first thing we have to do is scuff off the binding, because sometimes when you buy it, it's shiny and it can be kind of hard to glue down. So with just a little bit of sandpaper and moving along one side of the binding, you don't want to scuff up the other side because that's where the outside will be. And it's not a big deal, you can buff it back and polish it up to a nice finish on the outside later if you need to. But we're just gonna scuff up one side to make it a little bit easier to glue it down. And as you can see, it goes fairly quickly. You don't have to be an expert. The next step is to start gluing down the binding. So put a dab of glue on the neck where the fret slots are not, and hold down the binding where you want it to go, and add just a little bit of tape like so. Move on to the next. Try to not add glue where the slots you've cut are, because you don't want to fill them up with glue. Yes. And a couple of drops will do good, because the pressure of the tape, and try to really stick it down a little bit forceful. Obviously not so much that something breaks, but get a tight connection if you can. Will help spread the glue. And if you get some glue that zips out on the sides, don't worry. We are going to have to sand everything later, and make sure that I sound kind of like a robot. It's strange. It's the first time I ever record myself. I hope you like my first video. And I am a little bit nervous. So you just have to go like this down the neck, and just try to be careful so that you don't overdo it with the glue. Just try to use the tape as a clamp, basically. And as you can see, we're going down the entire way. Alright, so I've moved up to here. I've made a mark on the tape, which maybe is a little bit hard to see, but it's basically where I've stopped the gluing, because now we're going to heat up the binding with a heat gun and try to shape it so that it lies snugly along here. And we're going to try to do this with as little heat as possible. So we're going to take our heat gun And we're going to try to face it away from where the glue is and apply it quickly so that we don't get too much. When you see that it loses a little bit of its shape, that's when you need to apply some pressure and see if you can move it. And I'm going to use my hands, and I'm going to use a screwdriver because they're smooth and they are easy to work with, to try and press it in place. This can be a little bit fiddly. But just hold it in place and heat it up again. And the reason why I'm using a screwdriver is because I want to smooth it out, but I don't want to leave any fingerprints in it, because when you heat it up it might create fingerprints. And you have to just work it back and forth like this until it smoothly fits. I'll be back real soon. Yes, so I don't know if you can see it very well, but the binding is in its place and I have a bunch of tape and everything just looks it all looks kind of messy, but once the glue has dried, which will only take, let's say 10 minutes, but we're gonna wait for maybe half an hour or something, just to be sure, we can take it off. It's gonna look as good as this neck possibly can look. So while the glue is drying, there are a couple of things that maybe could be good to know, to think about while you're doing this. And one thing is that it's near impossible, I don't know if you can see it, but it's near impossible not to get glue on your fingers. And that's very annoying because super glue, it's annoying. Yes. Next thing is, because you have to work quickly, a good thing to try to remember to do is to have small pieces, strips of masking tape ready so that you can put on a little bit of glue and then just press the binding in place, take a piece of tape, put it in place, make sure everything looks the way it is, move on to the next bit where you put on some glue and stick it down with a piece of tape. And so having a nice surface to do this and a place where you can put down 15 pieces of tape that are about like maybe a thumb's length is a good idea, so you don't have to roll out a new piece and put it down. Will save you time and will help if you have super glue that dries very quickly. So yes, keep that in mind. Was that good?
Yeah, that's fine, I suppose.
So here we have the neck now and everything is looking all right. I'm just gonna dab a tiny bit of glue along the top here, just to fill any small little gaps that might be here. that I am not seeing. And I'm using a very, very tiny amount, so it should dry fairly quickly and sink in fairly alright. And now while we wait for that to dry, we can come in with something sharp and start to try to match up this edge here so that things look right. I'm going to try to do this in a way so that you can see what I'm doing, which is actually harder because it means I have to hold things in a way that I'm not used to. Not that I'm used to, you know, working with wood at all. And the same on this side. And take it slowly. And just feel with your finger and make sure it's to the point where you can't feel any gap between. Something like that. Now I'm just going to leave this so that the glue that we just put on can dry. So the neck is pretty much done now. It has the binding and everything is the way it's supposed to be. There are two things left to do, and one thing is to go over the side edge here where the binding meets and take a razor blade and smooth out that edge to make it nice and perfect so that it will be even nicer when we sand the neck. And the next thing that needs to be done, that I'm going to leave to Alex to do because I'm afraid of the belt sander.
You don't use a belt sander. Come on, you know that.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, he's going to have to do it. And the thing is, the neck is actually warped. And so we have to sand the fretboard in order to make it nice and ready for the frets. But we also need to clamp it down and adjust our sanding to level it out so that this spot right here gets a little bit lower. It's not a perfect neck in any way, but with a little bit of forced sanding we can make it perfectly straight again, or at least closer to perfectly straight than it is. And it's a part of the sanding, and there's no real point in explaining it more than you sand the neck with the sanding beam the way you're going to do to get in the radius, and you just force it a little bit more on the high spots, and you check it with a ruler and you just go over it and make sure it's flat all the way so you don't have any weird high spots. It's really annoying, but I'm not gonna do it. He's gonna do it. I mean, when he comes back, he's gonna do it. Anyway, he would like to know if you enjoyed the video, so write those things, comments below. Yes. And if you're new here, subscribe. Yeah. Or don't. Personally, I don't care, but I mean, Alex, he cares.
Don't forget to say that they are awesome and cool. Say it.
If you have any
Oh my
questions,
God,
yes.
come on.
If you have any questions, you can ask in the comments below. Yeah. He will be the one answering, and yes, talk to him. I'm also supposed to say, stay awesome and cool and go and make a neck. Not sure what that means, but now I've said it. Bye. I'm gonna leave now. Is that okay?
You did an alright job, I
Right,
suppose.
you did it.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
No, it doesn't matter. I'll fix it in the edit.